Sahanavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namah Shri Shankarananda Gurupadambujanmuni Savilasa Mahamoha Grasaika Karmani Paramatma Dvayananda Purna Purvam Swamayaya Swayameva Jagadguru Pradishad Jiva Rupataha Vishmadyuttamadehishu pravishto devata bhavat Martyadyadhamadehishu sthito bhajati martyatam Aneka janma bhajanat svavicharam chikirshati Vicharena vinashtayam mayayam shishyate swayam Advayananda rupasya sadvayatvancha dukkhita Bandhav prota swarupena sthitir muktiritiryate Avichara krito bandha vicharena nivartate Tasmad jiva paratmanau sarvadaiva vicharayet Ahamityabhimantayah karta sautasya sadhanam Manastasya kriyentantah bahirvritti kramothite. So, so how is this, what constitutes the jiva? Very interesting definition of the jiva. I have never come across anything like this and it's very exciting. And of course Adi Shankara talks about it, but only one part of it and doesn't quite put it in the same way, and it's just a wonderful presentation. And if you ask a regular roadside jaded jiva, who are you? What is your makeup? What constitutes you? What will the jaded jiva say? I'm only this much, I'm not, I'm defined by what I'm not rich, I'm not prosperous, I don't have abundance, I don't have patience, and I don't have enough fame, enough of anything, enough memory. In fact, I have forgotten what I don't have enough of, but I'm sure that also is not enough. The only thing that is in abundance in me, in my life, is sorrow. Yeah. Sorrow means you keep row. Rona means to cry. Okay, yeah. So you keep rowing, crying, and that's because you have, the jiva says, I have sorrow. And then you ask another jiva, I am a samsari, very, very sorry, but I am a samsari. And I am the kind of a samsari that is entwined and engulfed and entangled in this jagat, which is really samsara. If this jagat were not there, I would be very happy swimming with Ishvara in the ocean called pralaya, in that ocean of oneness. This is what everybody will say, so many things, take me out of the jagat, I'll be happy. Not true, but this is the perception. What is the jiva? What constitutes a jiva? You will get many and varied responses if you do a jivic survey. Why do we call it jivic? Because any answer that comes, it's ache, that's all. Not very nice. Everything is just sad, angry, afraid. These are the kinds of responses, but they have something in common, all these jivic responses. What do they have in common? They have a definition of the I that is based on apurnata, what they don't have. It's a very subjective definition. It's a definition based on raga dveshas, which they do have. And so if anything is in abundance, it's raga dveshas, fear and tears. That's all it is. And so this is something which is very, very intriguing, because that's a very subjective definition. And what Swami Vidyaranya has given here is a very, in verse number 6 and 7, a very objective definition of the Jiva. So who is Jiva? So Jiva is here. Let us look at this verse number 6 again. Aham, the Jiva is the one who owns up oneself. The miseries also, but doesn't matter. Owns up oneself. Yeah. The Jiva is the one who owns up oneself. Correct? As what? Aham. And then, what do you own up yourself as? Of course I am the doer, because 1 minute also I cannot keep quiet. You look in the airport, somebody is eating, somebody is drinking, somebody is talking to the Bluetooth. And then somebody is, shaking a leg because they are restless. When is it coming? And then the announcement comes. Oh, the plane is 45 minutes late in landing. Oh, why? Yeah, all the time just so restless. And that restlessness is what is called identification with being a karta. Kartritvam, kartatvam, kartritvam. Yeah, kartritvam means doership. What is this doership? Identification with the role of the doer. Being enmeshed and identified with the role of the doer, that if there is nothing to do, I'm going to go crazy. And people say this sometimes. I am a doer. People say this. I better have something to do, because otherwise I'm going to, sit on your head and drive you nuts. So, it's like the story of that genie, that jinn was there in the bottle. I don't know why all these jinns are trapped in bottles. But this one also apparently trapped in a bottle. And what do you do when you see a bottle with a jinn trapped in it? You rub it 3 times, okay? Yeah, or you let it out of the bottle, it's trapped in something. And then it came out and it had warned this man. Oh, are you a wish-fulfilling jinn? Yes, but, oh come on, don't say but. Well, what, just give me what I want. Says, yes, I will do that, but you better listen before you release me. The jinn in the bottle or lamp, whatever it was, said. And then, okay, what is your condition? It's not a condition. He says, the jinn says, if I don't have anything to do, I eat you up. That's just a fact. It's not even a condition. Why? Because I need to be kept busy. And the man just smirks to himself. A self-congratulatory smirks. This poor jinn doesn't know the extent of my desires. I'm going to keep him busy for several lifetimes. Says, oh, come on, friend. And he releases him from the bottle. And the jinn said, what to do now, what to do now, what to do now? Build me the best house with all the gems in the world. And then the person has not even finished saying it. Zip, the jinn goes. Zip, the jinn comes back. And poof, the palace is ready. So, oh my God, I thought it'll take a few years, but it's already ready. And then he says, okay, clothe my spouse and children in the finest golden everything, golden diamonds. Ready, 2 claps of the hand. And then he asked for land, ready, crop, ready. And what else? What else to ask for? He asked for everything but moksha. And moksha is of course ever ready. It has to be understood. And then the jinn, says swaha and hits the fellow up, because it cannot be kept idle even for a second. It had already said that. To his credit, the jinn had said that in the bottle itself. Release me only if you can keep me busy. So, jinn also starts with J, Jiva also starts with J. That is called identification with doership, because sitting quietly for even 1 second brings up feelings or peelings, which one doesn't find appealing. It's not nice to keep peeling, right? one is shedding, one is peeling. What is this? Am I a bark of a tree or what? So, therefore, because there is a lot of dysfunctionality and that, in one's childhood, and that dysfunctionality, has certain kinds of responses. Because, there is trauma in childhood. If not trauma, at least there is drama. Okay? Yeah. If not trauma, there is drama. Certainly no Rama. Okay? Rama comes in adulthood. Rama without the D. Rama without the TR comes later. You have to shed the D, and then you have to shed the TR, and then that Rama is discovered. So, one is a product. This body, mind, sense complex, the adult is fashioned, from the materials of the trauma. And the trauma runs in families. You have familial trauma. And so just like you have Guru Parampara, you have Trauma Rampara, Drama Rampara, Drama Parampara, Trauma Parampara, it's all there. And then, depending on many factors, depending on this particular jiva's fight or flight responses, and depending on this particular jiva's previous lifetime makeup, the amount of punya to endure and emerge relatively unscathed from this trauma ridden, childhood, so it manifests certain, in different ways. So that is what the whole thing is. So basically, there are certain responses which psychologists talk about. Fight, flight, we know. Fight means you fight back and you become aggressive. You meet aggression with aggression. And then some jivas not capable of it, they take off and go to a happy place. Happy place means some place, you just, you behave, the child behaves in this situation like it's not affected at all. It doesn't even pay attention. The parents are pulling each other's hairs out, and this one is sitting playing with its computer game, And then somebody might say, oh, how calm this child is. Is this child, so calm? How come? How come? Because it is gone, it is not present. It is physically present because where else will it go? It can't leave home at that young age. And it is mentally just gone. So these are the two classic continuums. Recently, the psychologists have also put two more. And the third one is called freeze. Flight means you take off, whether you are there or whether you physically take off or mentally take off. Freeze means this is what happens to the deer in the lights. Yeah. You shine the light deer is crossing the road, you shine it in the dark. It doesn't know whether to go forward, backward, or what to do. It just stops right there. So this is a kind of a petrified, literally, response. Yeah, one turns into stone. Petra means stone. Petrified means, so terrified that you have become a stone. You're just standing there, you don't know what to do. And then the other one, these are all coping mechanisms. The other one is what? The last one, they say, please. So fight, flight, freeze, or please. This is that fourfold way, the coping mechanism to trauma. Please means what? The children are clever. They figure out that if I just keep doing something or the other to detract the attention from either the conflict at home or the pain or the sorrow or the physical abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, whatever is going on, if I just go with the program and keep compensating for what they don't have, because obviously they don't have some things, that's why they are lashing out, this lashing will stop. A very good idea, but it doesn't stop. It does not stop at all. Correct? And so, so in all of these, there are certain doings. Correct? Yeah. So the trauma and the drama is overcompensated by certain kinds of doings. So flight means what? One takes off. So one is doing something else so as to not let the wrath of the elders upon itself be unleashed, or upon each other, which is also very unpleasant to be part of, especially if one is a small child. It's really very, very traumatic. Then what? And the one who is, this is the flight. The one who fights is also doing something. It's saying, back off, don't do this, don't hurt me. And it cannot say, don't hurt me, so it fights back. It doesn't even know what it's doing. And then what? And what does the other one do? Freeze. Even though it appears that it's not doing anything, it is doing something. And what is it doing? Disconnecting. That's what it is. It's having an out-of-body experience, Flight means it is doing other things to diffuse from the situation, and freeze means it is so frightened, the child, is that it has disconnected. So it's busy disconnecting from the traumatic situation. And then finally, what is the one? Please. The quintessential karta. Always doing. Maybe if I'm good enough. Maybe if I studied very well. Maybe if I just, did more. So in other words, the please mechanism is what it does is it parentifies the child really. The child becomes the parent of, apparently, the child becomes the parent of the adults. Very interesting. And so here, in all these, there is certain ways in which the child not automatically identifies as a karta, correct? And so, karta asau. And so so I is equal to karta. It's not an it's not like some kind of a association by birth. It's an association learned due to self-ignorance. Self-ignorance and the effect of trauma and the pain and the pain of one's own not knowing the truth of oneself, and that pain to diffuse, and that pain which is magnified because of the situation in the household, in the childhood. As an adult, it is too much to cope with. So the fighters and the ones who take flight, the pleasers and the freezers, they all have their way of being addicted to doing. Everyone. This is just a across the board definition. There may be other ways also. These are just the 4 ways. These are ideal types. Nobody is just one type. Some people may be fighters and flighters and freezers and pleasers. All these mix-ups will be there because human beings are very complex. And so what is happening in all this? In all this, one thing we know is that this is what is called do-worship. This do-worship is a morphed response to traumatic events in my life, especially when I did not know the truth of myself. When I don't know the truth of myself, I don't have anything, and here I am under duress, and it's a life, it's a response. Do-worship is a response to life-threatening, situations, or what was earlier interpreted by the subjective view of the child as a life-threatening situation. So they keep doing something or the other, and this do-worship is learned in order to not, as long as I'm doing something, either I'm avoiding, which is the flight, or I am freezing and disconnecting, which is that freezing mechanism, or I'm doing something to please somebody or the other all the time. One becomes a people pleaser, and then finally, what's the other one? The fighter. Everybody is doing something, and so if they stop doing that, then the world, as it were, falls apart. And so therefore, the definition of Jiva is the one who says, I am the doer. And it's easy to gloss over. I am the doer. What is doer? What is the meaning of doer? This is doer. Because everybody can be a doer, But if you say, I am doer, I am the doer, what one means, if you take this doing from me, whatever that doing is, it will be my undoing. Why? Because of all this trauma, which is the cause of everything is what? Self-ignorance. Very interesting. So, aham iti abhimanta. Abhimanta, abhitaha, manta. So the one who considers this, considers this self-definition. What is the self-definition? This is I. And who are you? And you see in any country, who are you? Oh, I'm so and so. My name is this, my name is that. And what's the next question? What do you do? Oh, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer. Nobody says I'm a freezer, I'm a fighter. I'm busy taking flight because I can't stand myself. I'm busy, I'm a people pleaser. No, but that's not the self-definition people give. Because most of the time they don't even know it. They don't even know where they fall in all this, in this kind of a thing. There may be other continuums, but in this continuum where they may be, they don't know. They just know that, I just do. And, if you not doing is dangerous. Karta asau. Asau means this fellow is the karta. Who is the karta? The one who says I. So I is equal to karta. First definition of Jiva. This is what is the difference between Jiva and Ishvara, if there is one. And what Jiva is Ishvara, but when that alienation takes place, what is the difference? How does the Jiva feel different? Because Jiva says, I am karta. But Ishvara also says, I am karta. Tasya kartaram api mam vidhi. Ishvara also says, I did this, I did the whole universe, I have created this whole universe. I have created all these things. Even your buddhi I have created. Wish I hadn't, but I did it. There you go. Even Ishvara says that. What's the difference?
Not bound by the results.
Huh?
Not bound by the results.
Not bound. There is no desire there. There is no desire to avoid anything. As in the freezer and the flyer away. And there is no desire to attract approval as in the pleaser. There is no desire to attract, there is no desire to avoid, number one. The other difference is the kartritvam is as though there is no pressure to do, there is no desire for result of action, and there is no suppressing of anything. It's a quote-unquote enlightened doing. Whereas the Jiva's doership is an encumbered doership because of the identification of I as the doer. First definition of Jiva. According to Swami Vidyaranya, it's so innocently given. Just in passing he mentions it, but it's very powerful. Karta, so, okay, now that you have declared yourself as the Karta, you need some helping, hands, because how are you going to do? What is your sadhana? What is your instrument? Manaha tasya sadhanam. That aforementioned buddhi, which the Lord was immediately regretful of having made, becomes this fellow's sadhanam, instrument. Yeah, this fellow's instrument is just this buddhi, the mind, buddhi, ahankara, everything. Manaha tasya sadhanam. And this manas has a twofold action. Kriye, kriya, kriye, lata, late, sita, site, dual. Yeah. Kriye, tasya kriye. So it has twofold actions because the mind also cannot sit quietly and the mind says, oh yippee, I am your instrument. No, I think I'll say yes, but secretly, what do they think? What do all the mind thinks? The mind thinks, you are my instrument. I'm going to use you. Yeah, I'm going to use you. This is what it is. Before every marriage, each spouse thinks, I can change the other one. I can change you. And then what? After that, it is abundantly clear that he or she cannot change the spouse. And then in a moment of candidness, they confess also, I thought when I married you I could change you. Oh, you also thought that? The other one says. Other one had also been thinking that. So, that's how it is. So, the mind, has its own plan. The mind says, you think, I'll let you think that I am your sadhanam. But I have other stir fries to make. I have other agenda. What's the agenda? You are going to do my bidding. You here means ahankara, the one that owns up everything, the buddhi. I'm going to ensnare the sense organs. I'm going to ensnare the buddhi and the ahankara to do my bidding. This is what the mind has just some other preoccupations here. So, tasya kriye. So then, but before we go there, let us look at what are the actions. The mind has twofold actions. Actions, very interesting. Here, the thought is seen to be action. Very interesting. Vritti, two vrittis are the kriye. Very interesting. Both in dual. So, two vrittis. How can thought be the action? This is just, this is something to think about. How is thought action? If thought is action, then each time, somebody gets angry and says to somebody, he thinks off with this person's head, then they should keep on going to jail. But one is not culpable for thinking something. If you start buying things, if you think of making a bomb, nobody knows. And, so you are not culpable. But then you go and buy some various flammable liquids, and then you bring it home, and then you collect some wires, and then you collect some bottles, and then only, the suspicion starts to build up because it's on the level of doing. Correct? So, is thought action? But here it says the mind, has twofold actions. Manaha, tasya sadhanam, tasya kriye. And even if you take tasya to be the jiva, aham iti abhimanta yaha, if the tasya goes with yaha, let us say, it doesn't go with manaha, then also, there is a little bit of an inconvenient thing. Let us see now. Aham iti abhimanta yaha. Okay, karta asau tasya sadhanam. Tasya means here, kartuhu. Of the kartu, the sadhanam, the means for the karta is what? The manaha. Correct? Mm-hmm. And tasya kriye means what? Yeah. Tasya kriye means for those. Whose? Is it for the? Tasya is singular. For its actions or for the jiva's actions. Who does that tasya qualify? If it qualifies the jiva, both ways we can look. If it qualifies the mind, then we have to have a new definition of action in the form of thought. And that's a metaphorical definition in the sense that what is the action of the mind? If the mind were to have an action, what would be the mind engaged in? See, when we say engaged, it's already action. Mm-hmm. Correct? So we can take that kind of a metaphorical meaning. But if the tasya qualifies the jiva, tasya kriye, and tasya kriye means for his actions. Jiva means masculine. The word is masculine, that's all. So for his action or for its action, for the jiva's action if we take, then these vrittis, the thoughts can be seen, can be defined as precursors to the action, because the action doesn't come out of the dropped from the sky. Even if somebody says, suddenly I acted. What happened over here? It looks like I have hit you. How? I don't know. Suddenly it happened. I don't even remember having a thought. You may not remember having a thought, but the thought was there. There was just one thing absent. What is that? Dhamma was not there. Thought was there. What is Dhamma? Management of the organs of action. That was what was missing. The thought is never missing. The thought was overpowered by the action. That's what it is. Because that is the categorical, link between thought and action. And so, recognizing that, Vidyaranya puts it this way, so that it's deliberately vague. What this tasya qualifies. The first tasya qualifies the jiva. The second tasya, what it qualifies, only Swami Vidyaranya knows. And but it can be taken either way. And either way, the mantra, the verse is not in peril. Either way, it's fine. So tasya kriye, what? Vritti. Two kinds of thoughts are what? Precursors. Let's take it this way. Two kinds of thoughts are either the engagement of the mind. The mind acts by thinking in two ways, or the jiva acts after these twofold vrittis, or in keeping with these twofold vrittis. And what are these thought forms or mental modifications? Vritti means mental modification, thought form, simply thought. Okay, so what are these vrittis? But I don't want to call them thoughts. Henceforward, I'm going to call them vrittis. Yeah. So what are these vrittis? Let us call one inward facing vritti. Mukha facing. Yeah. Antar mukha vritti. It's feminine. So antar mukha vritti. Inni vritti. And the other one outi vritti. Yeah. External facing vritti. Bahir mukha vritti. So the mind has the mind has twofold activity, and the twofold activity of the mind has to do with what? An inward facing thought and an outward facing thought. Oh, you mean I only have two thoughts? No, two kinds of thoughts. Two categories. Yes. The mind is very happy. Oh, at least we classified something. Okay. So that is what is being said. And then it says, and these vrittis, what do they do? Kramaha uttithe. They rise one after the other. They rise one after the other. What are these vrittis? Inward facing vritti and outward facing vritti. But what is inward facing vritti? I don't know. Let us see what he says. Antarmukhahamityesha vrittih kartaramullikhet bahirmukhedamityesha bahyam vasvidamullikhet. Yeah. So here now he delineates further what these vrittis are. What are these vrittis are going to be talked about now. And so we know their names. What are their names? Antarmukha vritti, inward facing vritti, and then the other one is what? Bahirmukha vritti, outward facing vritti. So what's the big deal about them? Let us see. What does Antarmukha vritti do? Antarmukha iti esha vrittihi. Esha vrittihi, this vritti called Antarmukha, what does it do? Aham iti kartaram ullikhet. Ullikhet, ut plus likhet. Likhet means writes. It's not that the vritti starts to write now. Yeah, ullikhet means underscores, highlights. That's a very good way of saying highlights, objectifies. Think of the word ullikhet as a highlighter. It highlights, it brings to light, it objectifies, it underscores, it emphasizes. Ullikhet. Antarmukha vritti ahamiti kartaram ullikhet. So, what does it light up? That should be in the second case. Kartaram. Correct? Because it's the object of the lighting up. What is kartaram? The doer. Yeah. So, it highlights, underscores, emphasizes, drags into the light the miserable doer called what? Aham. Antarmukha vritti, esha vritti, ahamiti kartaram ullikhet. The internal vritti or the cognition is a good definition of vritti. The internal cognition in the form of what? I thought. What is this I thought? I thought. Yeah. I thought. The internal cognition in the form of I thought. But what did you think? No. I thought. I iti thought. Yeah. The internal cognition highlights or lights up the I thought. And what is this I thought? The I thought is of course identified with what? The doer. So the internal cognition lights up the I thought and its linkage to doership. It highlights the I as the doer. It shows the I. It doesn't make the I into the doer. Don't get this wrong. It highlights the identification of the I with the doer. Kartaram ullikhet. Alright, what does the other one do? The other one also has its own plans. Bahir mukha idam iti esha bahyam vastu idam ullikhet. So, esha bahirmukha iti vritti, esha vritti, this vritti, the other vritti, what's the other one? Bahirmukha vritti or outward facing vritti. Idam means what? This. So it highlights the objects of that are qualified by the word this. So it highlights the objects of this cognition, whereas the antarmukha vritti highlights the objects of I cognition. Very nice. They seem to have a very wonderful division of labor. One washes and the other dries the dishes. Very easy, no fight at all between them. Yeah. A wonderful companionship. No problem at all. They don't go into each other's area at all. Yeah. They are very easy. Easily they get along. Why? Because they don't interfere in each other's affairs. What does the first one do? The antarmukha ahamiti esha vritti, aham vritti. Aham vritti means I thought. Iti this, this thought called I thought, very funny, way of putting it. Kartaram ullikhet, it underscores or writes off or writes up the karta. And then the other one, bahirmukha idamiti, idam vritti, this cognition, the external cognition lights up the this thought. And then what does it do? Which the this thought in turn lights up external objects. Did you get the now you can enjoy this very much. Once you get past this the Sanskrit, you can enjoy it. So the first one is interesting. What does the first one do? The first one lights up the I, and the I of course is identified with the doer, and so the first one lights up the I which recognizes itself as the doer. And the second one, lights up the this cognition. So what do we have here? A twofold cognition. What is that? I cognition and this cognition. So we have two cognitions. And this is something Adi Shankara highlights very much. Adi Shankara, highlighting this, talks about this in the introduction to the Brahma Sutra in what is called Upodghata Bhashya, in the introductory Bhashya. And he says, Aham and Idam, one is, Idam is Vishaya. Idam means what? Object. Aham is Vishayin, the one who is casting the light on the objects. And then what? Vishaya Vishayinoho, Tamah Prakashavat. So what is the commonality between I and this? Tell me. What do I and this have in common?
Both are cognized.
Huh?
Both are cognized.
Both are cognized, but here not in terms of the vritti. And not as I cognition in this. What do I and this have in common? The answer is nothing. What does I have in common with this? Nothing. Because the this depends on the I to be cognized. I is independently self-cognized. The this cannot exist without the I. I has no problem with being without this. Correct? So, tamah prakashavat, like even the sun and the light and dark, day and night, viruddha swabhavayoho. Viruddha swabhava, means they have opposite natures. One is a shadow, the other is light. They can't go for a walk together. That looks silly. Light and shadow go for a ride. Owl and the pussycat went to the sea. There's a poem like that. So that may happen. Walrus and carpenter and owl and pussycat. All these can happen. But this and I, they have nothing in common. And viruddha swabhavayoho, of completely diametrically opposite natures. But that doesn't say that in verse 6. No, this is Adi Shankara's I am quoting, not verse 6. Adi Shankara's introduction to Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutra Bhashya. Vishaya Vishayinoho. Viruddha Swabhavayoho. Tamah Prakashavat. Viruddha Swabhavayoho. Itare itara bhava anupapattau. He says there is no way the two can just get mixed up. How is it even possible? It's not possible for the two to get mixed up because one is light in the form of the light of consciousness, the other one is just a shady fellow waiting to be cognized. And one is sentient. I can keep going on. And the other one is insentient or inert. And one has got this, what's its name? The capacity to objectify the other. One is subject, the other object. What can they have in common? Nothing. Not even one date they can have together. They can't even go out together for once. To find out what they have in common because they don't even see each other. They can't have anything in common. And he says, itare itara bhavaha means a mix-up. Itara plus itara, itare itara. Itare itara bhava means the existence of one getting confused for the other. Nobody says, I am house. For example, I am my house. Nobody says that. Unless, of course, one is a special person. What's the definition of a special person? The one who immediately, I will add, needs a specialist. Meaning cannot wait. So unless one is a special person, one doesn't say, I am the house. Correct? So, itare itara bhava anupapattau. Anupapattau means the untenability of this mix-up is the truth. And then Adi Shankara, adds, sadly, That despite this being so clear that the two have nothing whatsoever in common, nothing at all. You match their horoscopes, nothing happens. Yeah, that's why it's called horoscope. Yeah, scope of all the horrors of this life. And you match the horoscope, nothing happens. They don't. Who are we talking about? I and this. I and this, subject and object, have nothing in common. One is Satyam, other is Mithya, one is subject, other is object. One has to be objectified in order to be known, one cannot be objectified in order to be known. I mean, the differences are endless. And the mix-up, Adi Shankara says, is impossible. ... However, Satyanrite Mithuni Kritya, this mix-up is the order of the day. And this mix-up, he has a special name for it, calls it Adhyasa. What is I? Atma. What is this? Anatma. So now, what is Adhyasa? Mix-up. Aropa, where I see snake instead of rope. That's why it's called Aropa. So, this mix-up happens, even though it shouldn't happen, and even though they have nothing in common, and one wonders, how is this mix-up happening? And even as one wonders, how is this mix-up happening? This mix-up has happened. And this mix-up is the bane of existence called samsara, and this mix-up needs to be unmixed up immediately. Oh, why? Because it is serious. It is terribly serious. It's leading to confusion and sorrow. That's why he says, Satyanrite, Satyam and Mithya, Mithuni Kritya. Having, confused them and jumbled them up helplessly. Making them into one. Oh, it's all about oneness. Satyam and Mithya. You can't do that. It's all one way. Wherever there is Mithya, Satyam cannot be far behind, but you cannot say Satyam is Mithya. And so, itaretara bhava anupapattau, tarhi, even then, what is there? The possibility of mix-up is there. This let us call adhyasa, adhi asaha. Adhi on top of, what? Asaha, throwing, a projection. And so, two kinds of adhyasas are there. The I mixes up with the this. Atmani, anatma adhyasa. Anatmani, atma adhyasa. This gets mixed up with the I. Nobody says I am the house, I am my clothes, I am the t-shirt. But you go for a walk, you compliment the person. Nice t-shirt. The t-shirt doesn't say thank you. The person says, oh, thank you, thank you. So there is a mix-up. Correct? Nobody says, I am cooking, I am my cooking. And then what? You wait for them to bring the food. And then you say, oh, I think salt is little less. No, I put salt. I always put, So there is a mix-up. So Atmani, Anatma, Adhyasa and Anatmani, Atma, Adhyasa, both of them are actually the same. What is that? Not taking myself to be what I am, the first Adhyasa. Second Adhyasa, therefore, taking myself to be everything that I am not. Second type of Adhyasa. The I and the this cognition have, even though they have, one was told to wash the dishes, the other one dries the dishes. That's why I made that comment. They don't have anything in common. They seem to be just wonderful housemates. They just respect one another's boundaries. They don't get into each other's affairs, and they cooperate wonderfully. Housemates where? In this mate's mind, yeah. And then, that is the calm before the storm. The two have become hopelessly mixed up, Ayyo. Yeah. And so, Bahyam Vastu, Idam ullikhet, very innocently put, very nicely. He's just doing a wonderful job. He's setting up the context by just listing everything. But he's also defining what is the Jiva. So we have got a wonderful definition of Jiva. What is this Jiva? The one who is convinced I am Karta, first definition. And second definition, in whom the I cognition and this cognitions are hopelessly mixed up, entangled. The one of entangled cognitions, the one that confuses the this for the I and the I for the this. But how to do that? Ask the Jiva. Only the Jiva can tell. I am tall, I'm this tall, I'm fat, I'm thin, I'm bored, with regard to the mind. Bored is not an emotion. But people frequently say, I'm bored. And then what? I'm hungry. Most of the time, I am hunger. I'm thirst, with regard to the body. And what is the definition of this cognition? Anything that you call this is this cognition. Anything that can be qualified by the word idam is idam vritti. Bahirmukha idam vritti is anything that can be qualified by the word this, which means idam, which is the meaning of the word idam. So let's make a list of everything that is idam, So how's idam or aham? Idam, very clear. Body, idam. Mind, idam. Senses, idam. Significant other? Oh, that I don't know. That I don't know. That's a difficult one. Is that a trick question? Significant other, idam. Correct? Window, door, house, idam. Pet, idam. So in other words, everything in this universe is idam, except for aham. This should be very clear. Where is the confusion? I don't know. But the confusion is rampant. It's not that let us, 6 categories belong to aham and 8 to idam, and let us just, memorize them. Rote. Because otherwise it will be very difficult. The mix-up will be there. 6 must be kept this side. These 8 must be kept this side. It's not like that at all. It's not that every other category, idam, aham, they are exchanging. No. Every other category, idam, and every next category, aham. No. There's only one thing that belongs to aham, aham. And then the rest of it is what? Idam. No, but wait. You can't just confuse me like this. That too towards the end of the class, At least in the beginning, I can do something. But here I don't even have to think. Wait. Okay, supposing if I think of a traumatic event in my life, correct? Whose life? Aham's life. Yeah, not idam's life. I'm not talking of idam. I'm talking of who? Aham. So in aham's life, what am I saying? Okay, in my life, purposely I said, so that the vritti is very clear. In the life of aham, let's say, when this aham, see this aham, interesting. When I'm giving myself away, stop. Okay, so when aham was aham of that time, tat deshakala parichinna aham. Aham qualified by that time and place. When that aham was a baby aham, correct? And the baby aham got dropped by the mother, thud, and somehow survived, fell upside down, somehow survived, correct? And then grew up. And then what? And now, because of some clarity in the mind, the memory of thud came back. Okay? Is this aham vritti or is this idam vritti? That's a good one. What do you think?
I can say it down because it's an experience.
It's an experience that is remembered. In remembering, what is it? Idam. But it happened to aham. Yes. But that aham is being recalled. Aham is not being recalled. Because aham, you don't even need to call it. Forget recall it. It's ever there. So what is being recalled is something that happened to aham. But what about if I did something a long time ago and I recall what I did? I recall that I extended help to my siblings or to somebody in my life and I did something. Is that aham or idam?
For me, same answer. If it's part of my story, it's not aham.
It is not aham.
It's
Yeah.
my bio.
Because experiences, are they object or subject? They are objects. Yes, because they are objects of my cognition. This experience, that was a good experience. This was a traumatic experience. So everything that the aham recalls is also idam. Everything is idam except aham. This is very simple. But it because of samsara, it's deliberately difficult. You had a question. What
There's
was
no
that?
time and space, so if I recall an event,
Yeah.
isn't that a fallacy?
Yeah, but we are just talking of delineating between aham and idam. So if you recall, you're remembering it now, you're absolutely correct. You're remembering something right now. You're not remembering it back then. But the question was not whether it's back then or now. The question was, does it come into the category of I cognition or this cognition? When you recall an event that happened to you, are you cognizing the I or are you cognizing this? You're cognizing this. That was the question.
What is common between both can be consciousness?
Yes, we are going to get there. Yes, in verse number 9, 10, 11. Abhi time baki hai. Yeah, and there are something, what is that? Though I and this appear to be opposite, it seems difficult to separate the two. Exactly. The body to someone may be identified with their body seems to be I. That's the whole point. Yeah, that's the body of this chapter. Yes. Yeah, the jnani of the body to a jnani would be external. Absolutely right. Idam is also Brahman. Yes, absolutely. Although no one says, I am this house, can't we say both house and I are Brahman? Yes, at the risk of losing all your friends, you can say that. Yes, you can say that. It's absolutely correct. Okay. If that mix-up is resolved by I, then there would be no samsara, or Krishna's Leela will not unfold. Let it not unfold. It won't unfold for you because you are Krishna. That's all it is. Yeah, you can, unleash the Leela on others, no problem. Yeah, it's all as though anyway. Together they support duality. Yes, idam and aham, yes. At some level, wouldn't even the body and the doer be considered external? Absolutely correct. Yes. And that some level will come in verse number 10, 11, 13 somewhere. Okay? So, and then I cognition justifies this cognition. Yes, correct. Yeah. Doesn't the doer also get objectified by the Atma? Yes, but that's later. Okay? Yeah. Everybody was in a hurry to get to verse 10. Stay with me. Okay. So then, so that is all. Very. This was a popular class. Everybody seems to be very happy, lively, active, and and wonderful. And some people even wrote from a pradosha they were attending. So that's very nice that they have that they are participating like this. Yeah. This is helpful point that it's a stage in the conversation. Absolutely. Otherwise, it would be a very morbid note to end on. Yeah, you are absolutely correct. Okay? Yeah. Absolutely correct. So, we are going to say the closing prayer. We are going to do many things. Okay? We have one going to say the closing prayer. Yes. And then number 2, we are going to take a short break, 5 or 10 minutes. And then number 3, we are going to come back for a surprise. We are on India time, so we are going to celebrate Shivaratri right now. Because tomorrow 6 to 7 a.m. our time was having some problems and issues. Tomorrow is a working day here and so many things are there. So we are going to, do Abhisheka right now, and since you don't have anywhere to go because you thought the class is till 6, we invite you, to be, they can come on this also. We'll bring it here.
Okay.
Yeah. So you come, you just stay where you are. Don't go, in other words, and just stay where you are, and we'll finish by 6 o'clock. Okay? Yeah, so we will finish by 6 o'clock so that everybody can participate. And tomorrow morning there won't be anything public. And then tomorrow evening, what time? 5:30. You can log on to which? Adobe. This one, right here. Okay? Not live stream. So today you can be wherever you are, stay where you are. Okay, some more questions have come. What are they? Yes, happy Shivaratri. Yes, right now, today evening, our time, tomorrow evening. Yes, so don't go. Good. Tell us how to celebrate Shivaratri at our homes tomorrow if they are not lucky enough to have received this knowledge from our family. No problem. You are very lucky. I can't think of anyone more lucky. 6 p.m. tomorrow also, 5:30 or 6, anytime. Yeah, no problem. You come. Today, now, 6 o'clock, tomorrow also same time or 5:30. Okay. So yeah, you are very lucky and you just follow what we do here. Okay? Yeah, you can just look. So we'll say the closing prayer and then, significance of Shivaratri. Sure. Yeah, I'll talk about that. And say the closing prayer and then come back after 10 minutes. We just need 10 minutes to do some setup. Okay? Yeah. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Yeah, give us 10 minutes, we'll be back. Happy Shivaratri to all.